Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll explain about lex program execution in Ubuntu. So this topic is a comparison subject. Okay, so in order to execute any lex program, we required four steps friends. You can see on the screen. So first one is gedit space sample.l. So in this we are going to write the program. So lex space sample.l. So the program will be converted into lex, then sudo apt install flex. So here we are installing flex friends. So cc space lex.yy.l space minus lfl, and last one is dot slash a.out friends. So in order to execute this lex program, we required these four steps friends. Okay, so I request all of you write down these steps in your notebook. By the way, you are going to easily understand this concept. Okay, so now we'll see the one by one step how this will be going on. Okay, so the first step is gedit space sample.l friends. Now I opened my Ubuntu friends. Now what we have to do? We need to type the first command friends. Okay, so in order to type first command, what we need to do? Just we open our terminal friends. Just to click on terminal. Just to type terminal friends. Then you can see that command is there. So command prompt. There we can type the first command what I shown on the screen before. So first command is, you can see on the screen, that is already we discussed gedit space and file name dot l. Let us say file name is sample.l friends. Okay, so when you give sample.l, it is going to open your window. Here we can type the program friends. Okay, so in this I am going to type sample program as a lex friends. Okay, so first you can observe I am going to write in the comment lines. The program is, you can see here, the lex program to count the number of words friends. Okay, so what is the program? This program is, it is used to count the number of words in the given string. Now you can see in the second line I am going to write, so in the next line I am going to write percentile open bracket, and here I am going to include some header files hash include stdio.h. because of this printf we are using this one. Next, hash include, I am writing one more header file. This header file is called as string.h because of I am using string functions in this program. So let us see one more value. That value is int I is equal to 0. Okay friends, so I declared two header files as well as one integer value. The integer value is I friends. Okay, so now what we are going to do? I am going to close the percentile and close bracket. So this is called as a declaration part friends. Now what I am going to do? So I would like to show again what is the purpose of this line. So you can see slash star. This is called as a command line friends. So rules. I am going to write the rules of this lex program. So what are the rules required to count the number of words friends? So this is also say rule section. Okay, so in the next line you can see I am writing here the rule section percentile. Then I can write here a z, small a z, as well as capital A capital Z. It indicates that you can see, as well as 0 to 9 means if you have a to z capital or small as well as a 0 to 9, star means 0 or more number of times friends. Okay, so now I am going to see a print in the next line. So you can see I am going to print the value of a to z 0 to 9. Okay, so what is the value of this one? I plus plus friends. Okay, so when you say small a capital A 0 to 9, I am going to increase the value of high friends. Okay, so next one, slash n. What is the meaning of slash n? So you can see slash n means in the open bracket I mentioned printf. So the printf value is here percentage d comma as well as slash n comma high value, friends. Okay, so in this is called as a rules section. So remember, this program nothing but count the number of words. So when the string is given, I would like to count the number of words. So here we need to write the program first. So now you can see I'm writing one more line. This is here I is equal to 0, as well as in the next line we can write in the above also, no problem. So I is equal to 0, close bracket, friends. So percentile. Now rules section is completed, friends. So after completion of this one, I am going to write into yy wrap. So if at all any code is there, we can write. Otherwise, just to write open bracket and close bracket void. Then you can see open and close. I don't want to write anything. Now you can see next line I am going to write int main, as well as open and close bracket. So in this I call one method. The method name is called as yylex. Very important. When you say yylex, the program is going to call the actual methods in the program, then it is going to execute. So there are two methods. First one is yylex and second one is called as wrap, friends. So I am going to return the values because of int wrap, friends. So after completion of this one, you need to save the program. So how to save the program? Just what you have to do, just you click on that save. In the top of the system, we have something called as a save is there. Just you click on the file name save, then it is the file is going to save now, friends. Okay, so when you click on save, it is going to save. Now after completion of saving, so we go for second step. So I go back to my command prompt, then I am going to see the next line. So I am going to close this program. If at all you want to execute the program, you must to close this one. Then I can write one more command, friends. Okay, so now we are going to write the second command. What is the second command? Lex space sample.l. It is going to convert our program into lex, friends. Then you type enter. Now you can see command lex is not found. When the command lex is not found, it indicates that flex is not in your system. So you need to do one more command. Type the command sudo apt install flex. Then it is going to install the lex in our system, friends. So when the error comes, it indicates that lex is not available in our system. So just you type sudo apt install flex. Then you can see it is going to ask the password. Then you press yes. Then it is going to install lex. I can say also flex in our system. Now you can see after completion of this one, the program is going to install in our system. So now you see I'm going to, till now I typed the program, I convert our program into lex. So now you can see one more command. If I type something called as now, if I say cc space lex dot yy dot, already I mentioned in the above. So lex space yy dot c and space lfl, but it gets the error, friends. Okay, so now such file or directory. So what we have to do now? Remember, you need to type again that command. The command name is called as, so what we say, lex. So lex command, what we have, that lex space sample.l, because in the previous when I typed lex space sample.l, I got error, no lex file is there, no lex software is there. So you see this is a successful execution. Now you type cc space lex.yy.c space lfl, enter, friends. Now you can see there are no errors are there on the screen. If there is a no errors, just to type something called as ./a.out. Now you can see it is going to ask some values. Actually nothing is going to ask, just to type something hi, as well as how are you. Okay, then you can see in this there are four words are there. When you press enter, it shows the four, because of there are 4 words are there in the given string. So this is a way to execute our flex or else lex program, friends. So this is called as something like a, you know, what we call compiler design subject. So this is the way to execute a compiler design program, friends. So I request all of you subscribe my channel. If at all any doubts, you can ask me. Thank you everyone.